Good morning.
Happy Monday.
Monday Matters. Really
Monday
excited
Matters.
to dive right back into James.
Dive
with you
back
today.
into James. We're in chapter 4.
Do you know what verse we're on?
We're on verse 1 of chapter 4,
Okay.
I think. Yeah. Moving through James, and we're almost to the end, I think.
Would you like me to read it for us today?
I'd love that.
Okay. I'll read till a good breaking point. What causes quarrels and what causes fights among you? Is it not this, that your passions are at war within you? You desire and do not have, so you murder. You covet and cannot obtain, so you fight and quarrel. You do not have because you do not ask. You ask and you do not receive because you ask wrongly to spend it on your passions. You adulterous people, do you not know that friendship with the world is enmity with God? Therefore, whoever wishes to be a friend of the world makes himself an enemy of God. Should we stop there or keep going?
Yeah. Wow. I mean, James gets a little bit extreme there, right?
I mean, it's pretty intense stuff.
I mean,
what
all
do you
of a
mean by
sudden-
extreme? What pops out to you as extreme?
all of a sudden, you kill. You scheme and kill to get it. I mean, I've never done
Have
this.
you ever killed someone?
Not that I
No.
know of. Not intentionally. No, I've never killed
Yeah.
anybody. I mean, that's kind of, I don't know. I mean, yes, murder is a thing that humans do, but I don't think a lot of us can relate to that passage. You want what you don't have, so you scheme and kill to get it. Have you ever done that?
No, I haven't. But it's almost like this passage almost makes me think of where Jesus is talking about, you've heard it said, do not kill. I say to you, whoever says fool raka is in danger of the fires of hell. You've heard it say, do not commit adultery, but I say to you, whoever looks lustfully at a woman. Do you think this is sort of referencing that or no? What do you think? Or am I stretching a little bit to try to connect those two passages? Because I agree, it's not, most of us aren't going out and killing people when we want something and don't get it,
Yeah.
Or do you think James is just talking, in hyperbole here to make a point? That's probably most likely, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hyperbole. I do. I think some of the, depending on who the audience is at the time, maybe there was, maybe he's speaking to the zealots, or maybe he's something like that. But that's hard for me to relate to.
Yeah.
Yes, if you hate somebody, you're guilty of murder.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing. And, that's Jesus' words, and this is Jesus' brother, James. And so is he talking about that? Yeah, it does apply. It totally does. But
I'll tell you the one part that really applies to me. One of the most frustrating parts of passage, and I've been frustrated with this for probably over 10 years, is asking you shall receive, seeking you shall find, knocking the door shall be open to you. Because I ask God for a lot of stuff and I don't always get what I ask for. And I really like this passage because I think it sheds a little bit of light on that. You do not have because you do not ask. And then it says, okay, well, what if I'm asking? You ask and do not receive because you ask wrongly to spend it on your passions. I know so many times I'm asking for something, and it can even be a good thing, but it's my will, not necessarily God's will. And I think that this really gives us sort of a key, shines a little bit of a spotlight on how to interpret those past verses, the ones at least I know I've wrestled with.
yeah.
Is that receiving when we ask, we need to be asking for things that are in God's will, and we won't necessarily know what God's will is, and so prayer has to be from a posture of submission. What do you make of that that passage?
So this version, this is NLT, verse 3 says, and even when you ask, you don't get it because your motives are all wrong. You want only what will give you pleasure. Yeah, I mean, we can get the impression that first verse there, you pray for it and you'll get it. But then if you ask with the wrong motives, I think, as a parent, you think about your kids who might ask for something that is not good for them.
Yeah.
And they don't realize it because they're kids. But, Daddy, can we have ice cream for supper? Well, maybe, but not regularly. Not if Mama's home.
Yeah.
If Mama's not home, maybe we'll work that out. But
Well, and it can also be because I know there have been times where I've asked God for something that's good, but it's not in God's plan or not in His timing.
Or you think it's good, but
Well, I
it
think
might
it's
not
good. Like,
always
God,
be.
can you please heal this family member who's really sick?
Right.
But if that's not in God's plan, that's not, in God's plan. And those are the hard questions, really, to wrestle with. But
Yeah, that's one of those things that obviously it would be God's will, right? That somebody who's sick be well. I mean, that seems like almost a no-brainer, but it's not.
it's not always. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I also think about, some of the things that we ask for. Lord, I want the job. Lord, I want the promotion. Lord, I want a raise. I want a boat. I want a this or that.
Yeah.
I want to win the lottery. If you let me win the lottery, I will give 10% of it to the church. No, I'll give 50% of it to the church, that kind of thing. I've never played the lottery. One time, though, I had a neighbor who played the lottery, and he gave me a lottery ticket for my birthday.
Oh, really? Congratulations. Did you win?
No.
No.
No, but it was the only time I ever checked the numbers. So,
Well, this passage really makes me think about C.S. Lewis. And I forget what book it is. It might be Mere Christianity, but he says that, probably not Mere Christianity, but one of his books. He said, pride isn't thinking highly of yourself. It's thinking of yourself more than others. And this passage just makes me think all the wise people that I know in my life, when they talk about their prayer life, they're not talking, every time they share, they talk about, oh yeah, I was praying for, our family, praying for our community, praying for our neighborhood. This prayer that's really outward centered versus a self-centered prayer. And I know a lot of times when I'm in a bad place, I pray for, you ask wrongly, to spend it on your passions. I pray for JD things and it's not bad to pray for things for myself. But what is my prayer life dominated by? Am I praying predominantly for others, or am I praying for JD and for myself and God, can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? Or am I lifting others to God in prayer? And all I know is all the wise people in my life, they pray. Like when you take the time in their prayer life, they're praying 80, 90% for other people. Which to me, I think that says something. And I like how C.S. Lewis puts it is, we should be thinking, our headspace, is it occupied with ourselves or occupied with the concerns of others? And then in a good church, our concerns are going to be in their headspace, so we'll be praying more for them. Our church brothers and sisters will be praying more for us. And that's how the church is supposed to work.
And I think that's really good. It does make me think, though. I recently had a conversation with somebody who was really hesitant to pray for themselves. They're like, my needs, they feel small and they feel like they're not as important. And I'm like, but ask God, because you matter to God too.
You do. Yeah.
And so, sometimes we can brush off what our real issues are as if they don't matter.
And they do matter, but it is an order of priority. Love God, love others, and love yourself. So making sure that priority, is straight. So pray mostly praising God and worshiping God, and second most praying for others, and third praying for ourselves.
Love God, love others, and love yourself. That's the priority.
I think it's in Scripture.
Well, the Scripture actually says, love God and love others as you love yourself. And so that's... Yeah.
So you would say that's equal, that we should love ourselves as much as we love other people?
Yeah. I mean, I think so. I don't think, I think we can become really selfish and focus all on ourselves. But that passage doesn't imply that you're supposed to not love yourself. You're supposed to love others more than you. I mean, it doesn't.
We should love ourselves, but love others more, right?
You don't like that?
No, I think we should love other people more than we love ourselves.
Why?
Because that's the very definition of love itself, of agape love, is this self-sacrificial love. And I think that a lot of times the decisions we face in life, it's not a net win. It's this person is gaining something by me losing something. So, Megan, nacho cheese, and this is a stupid example. We used to get this nacho cheese dip from Trader Joe's when we lived in New Jersey.
Okay.
And I tell you, it was amazing. It had a little bit of spice, like a little bit of kick.
Yeah.
We both loved that nacho cheese dip, and we were balling on a budget. So when we would go to the store, we would only get like one treat for ourselves besides like the basic ramen and rice necessities, because we were really balling on a budget. So we'd get the nacho cheese dip. And there's only so much nacho cheese dip. And so I had the decision once when she was at work and I was at home, and there was just a little bit left. I was like, okay, am I going to eat this or am I not? It's the kind of decision where it's not I can love her and love myself. It's like, okay, is she getting the nacho cheese dip or am I? And I think we make these decisions all the time with how we spend our time, our money. Am I spending time, money on myself or on other people? Sort of I would push back and I say, I think we need to love other people more than we love ourselves. Not that we don't love ourselves, but I do think we got to put others first. Yeah.
Okay. It makes me think of, I think there's 1,000, well, maybe more than 1,000. There's thousands of ways that we can love people more than ourselves. For example, you walk through the parking lot and there's garbage in the parking lot. Mm-hmm. You bend down and pick it up. Somebody else could come along and do that, but you did it to serve other people.
Yeah.
There's a noise in the night or somebody forgot to turn out the light and you're laying there and you're like, maybe Megan will get it or something. And
I'm laughing because it happened last night. The tree branches were smacking up against the side of the house.
Oh, that's all right.
Yep.
Anyway, so, it's an act of love to actually get up and take care of it and allow your partner to lay in bed and be okay, So, yes, I mean, we are called to love others as we love ourselves. I don't know. I think that we get stuck and we start to take it so literally that I'm going to love others more than me. And then I don't know. I'm pushing back too. Let's both push back.
Yeah, and that's okay. We can exist in that tension.
In that tension.
What do you think about the part where it says friendship with the world? I love this part. What does your version say? So mine says friendship. Friendship with the world is enmity with God. What does your verse say?
It starts out, you adulterers. So first of all, it starts with adultery.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, that's hyperbole in a sense, but if you love this other God, which basically it's saying you are loving another God instead of the one true God, you're an adulterer. You're committing adultery against God. I think that's what it's saying there. But then it goes on, don't you realize that friendship with the world makes you an enemy of God? Friendship with the world. Again, what exactly? I mean, God put us on this planet, and we're to go love people around us, love the world. So yes, there's a lot of hyperbole here. I think you have to be a little close to it. I mean, a little close. No, I just read that and subconsciously spit that word out. I think you have to be a little cautious with the hyperbole. Friendship with the world. Yeah, if you're about things of the world, then you're not about God. I mean, I believe that 100% to be truth. If my life is all about the world, then it's not going to be about God. Our lives should be about God first. But man, James, come on, these words.
See, I love it. So you don't like it. It is uncomfortable.
Hyperbole.
You never use hyperbole.
Never once.
But what I think never once. That was a good joke. I think it's hyperbole, but I think that there's a lot of truth and there might be a little less hyperbole there than we would tend to imagine. So when I read this verse, I think of all the passages in Scripture that talk about the church as the bride of Christ. And there's constant, in Old Testament prophetic literature talking about Israel being an adulterer against God, about constantly going away from God. I mean, that's pretty much what the whole book of Hosea is about as well.
Yeah.
And so thinking about this, that yes, because I know this is all of our, personal spiritual struggles, is we know who we belong to. We know how our mind should operate, which is God-centered, loving other people. And yet we fall into the world's categories and we can describe culture pretty easily right now. It's all about me. I'm going to make as much money as I possibly can because that's the system that we live in. I'm going to make as much money as I possibly can. It's all about me. It's my truth. Truth is relative and subjective. I can do whatever I want. We fall into that so much. And it's not just, now I chose God's path. I'm never going to fall into that. I mean, we live in the world. We're called to be in the world, but not of it. But there's such a big difference of being in the world versus being friends with the world.
Yeah.
And what I think is if we're friends with the world, we're enemies with God. So what that means is we should be enemies with the world if we're friends with God. Would you take it that far or not?
Enemies with the value system of the world.
value system of the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, just the moment I want to brush this off, it's hyperbole. The moment I want to do that, the next sentence, I say it again.
Yeah.
I say it again. If you want to be a friend of the world, you make yourself an enemy of God. So James isn't letting me get away with this. He's not allowing me to just kind of
He's like, I'm being serious
I'm gonna
here.
slide that one past me, He's like, yeah, the moment you say that, I'm going to slap you with it again. Because I do think that's what the point of it is if your value system is the value system of the world, of our culture, then you are not a Christ follower. You're not a friend of God. You're actually on the other team. And while I don't exactly like the hyperbole, I totally agree with it.
Yeah. People in the world should look at us like we are so weird and almost offensive. Maybe not almost offensive. Enemies. Now, that doesn't mean
so?
we go out. Yes, but I don't think enemies in the sense that I think we have to use other scripture to, supplement how we're doing this. Because there's other scripture that says, be at peace with your neighbors, be at peace with your community. But yeah, when you look at all of the disciples, they all got killed except for John. They were pretty loud, boisterous, and against the system of the day. And yeah, we live in a very different system than the Roman system back then.
Yeah.
But at the same time, yeah, I think we should be pretty uncomfortable at work in our friend groups, if we're in friend groups of non-Christ followers as well as workplaces of non-Christ followers. It should be awkward. We should be awkward and uncomfortable. They should be awkward and uncomfortable, or we should too, because it's not a fit, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be comfortable because it's enemies. We're on almost enemy territory.
We're on different teams in a sense.
Yeah.
Although, okay, this is going to sound weird. We are enemies with the world, but we're on the side of the people.
Yes. No, 100%.
bizarre.
Yeah.
Because what we're trying to do is help them understand, help those around us understand that God is actually the point. It's not the thing they're seeking.
I like the word Romans talks about, seeing ourselves as ambassadors, right? It's like we're in like this foreign nation and we're trying to send people back.
What do you think the scriptures mean when they say the Spirit of God is placed within us, is filled with envy?
Have we read that yet? What part is that?
Verse 5, did you already read?
I don't think so.
Oh, never mind. Skip that one.
So we're going to
save that one for next.
I think it's probably time for us to move on, but do you want to move on in the next
Yeah,
the
let's
next
move
video?
on in the next video, but maybe we'll agree on something next time. So, all right.
This is a good
Monday Matters.
Monday Matters.